At 6:37 a.m. on October 25, 1944, Ensign William Brooks, flying a routine anti-submarine patrol from the escort carrier USS St. Lo, glimpsed a sight that made his stomach knot and his heart race: the unmistakable pagoda masts of a massive Japanese surface fleet emerging from the morning mist, 17 miles to the northwest. 4 battleships, 6 to 8 cruisers, and 11 destroyers. An armada of over 200,000 tons were steaming at 27 knots, moving where no Japanese ships were supposed to be. Brooks radioed back to his carrier, warning of the approaching force, only to be met with disbelief. On the bridge of the escort carrier USS Fanshawe Bay, flagship of Taffy 3, Rear Admiral Clifton Sprague demanded confirmation. Battleships here were impossible. Admiral William Halsey's mighty Third Fleet was supposed to guard San Bernardino Strait to the north, and Admiral Jesse Oldendorf's 7th Fleet battleships had annihilated a Japanese southern force at Surigao Strait hours earlier. Taffy 3, 60 miles east of Samar Island, had been on what was supposed to be safe duty: routine air support for troops on Leyte and anti-submarine patrols. But Brooks was not mistaken. Vice Admiral Takeo Kurita's center force, the most powerful fleet Japan had assembled since Midway, was bearing down, led by the Yamato, the largest battleship ever built. With 9 18-inch guns capable of firing 3 200-pound shells over 25 miles, thick armor up to 16 inches, and over 125 anti-aircraft guns. Alongside her steamed the Nagato, Kongo, Haruna, 6 heavy cruisers, 2 light cruisers, and 11 destroyers. They had slipped through San Bernardino Strait in total darkness, undetected, with Kurita astonished that American battleships were not blocking the passage. Halsey's Third Fleet, pursuing a decoy, had unknowingly opened the door. The men of Taffy 3 faced impossible odds: 6 escort carriers, 8,000-ton converted merchant ships with wooden flight decks, top speed of 18 knots, and barely armed with a single 5-inch gun each, along with 30 aircraft configured mostly for ground support, some carrying only bombs, rockets, or depth charges instead of torpedoes. The 3 Fletcher-class destroyers, Johnston, Howell, and Herman, fast but lightly armored, and 4 destroyer escorts, Samuel B. Roberts, Dennis, John C. Butler, and Raymond, built for anti-submarine duty, were their only protection. The math was grim. American shells weighed 54 pounds with a range of 10 miles. Japanese shells were up to 3,200 pounds, with ranges exceeding 25 miles, and their torpedo count outnumbered the Americans by more than 4 to 1. At 6:45, Japanese float planes appeared overhead, spotting for the fleet, and Kurita's battle line opened fire. The sea exploded in colored water spouts, red from Yamato, yellow from Nagato, green from Haruna, blue from Kongo, each salvo a towering geyser threatening to swallow the tiny carriers whole. Admiral Sprague ordered general quarters, launched every available aircraft, and turned the carriers southeast toward a rain squall while the destroyers laid smoke and prepared for a suicidal stand. Commander Ernest Evans of USS Johnston, a Cherokee and Creek from Oklahoma, immediately turned his 2,200-ton ship toward the approaching Japanese battleships, one destroyer against the might of a fleet 10 times its size. Yet Evans understood the stakes. Every shell aimed at Johnston was one not aimed at the carriers. At 7:10, Johnston advanced under a storm of fire, firing her 5-inch guns at the heavy cruiser Kumano, launching torpedoes, zigzagging, drawing the enemy's attention. She crippled Kumano and forced Suzuya to retreat, but soon faced overwhelming firepower. Shells from Yamato, Kongo, and multiple cruisers tore through her, destroying engines, guns, and steering. Yet Evans, gravely wounded, continued issuing orders, shifting to the aft steering station, manually cranking the rudder while blood streamed across the deck. Meanwhile, USS Hull and USS Herman charged headlong into 4 battleships at close range, launching torpedoes in desperate attacks, forcing Yamato herself to veer north for 10 critical minutes, sowing chaos in the Japanese formation. USS Samuel B. Roberts, a 1,700-ton destroyer escort designed for submarines, pushed her engines past limits to 28 knots, racing toward heavy cruisers, launching torpedoes at 4,000 yards, and firing her 2 5-inch guns at point-blank range. Her gunners, like 20-year-old Paul Henry Carr, hand-loaded shells from mounts warped by heat, kept firing even after the ship lost power and sustained catastrophic hits. Roberts sank at 9:05, but not before crippling enemy cruisers. Across the battlefield, pilots flew unarmed Avengers and Wildcats, diving, strafing, dropping bombs, and harassing the fleet, forcing Japanese ships to maneuver and further disrupting their aim. By 9:25 a.m., after 2.5 hours of ferocious combat, Kurita's fleet withdrew, leaving the battered survivors of Taffy 3 stunned at having survived against a force that should have annihilated them. The cost was immense. USS Johnston lost 141 men, USS Howell 253, USS Samuel B. Roberts 89, and USS Gambia Bay 131. Many survivors endured 50 hours in shark-infested waters. Yet, through courage, audacity, and determination, these tin can sailors had defied overwhelming firepower, turning back the mightiest surface fleet Japan had assembled since Midway, altering naval history and proving that ordinary men, when faced with the impossible, could achieve the extraordinary. Their heroism, recognized in posthumous medals of honor, Navy crosses, and silver stars, is etched not only in medals, but in the Pacific's deepest wrecks, where Johnston and Roberts rest upright, guns trained outward, eternal sentinels of defiance. The Battle of Samar demonstrated that courage, initiative, and unyielding spirit could overcome overwhelming odds, that human determination could outmatch technology and firepower, and that when ordinary people were called upon, they could become heroes, shaping history in moments of impossible choice.